Hi guys, Mr. P here and welcome to episode 2 in this series all about taking teaching back. So in this series of videos I am talking about different issues that affects us as teachers and education and contribute to things like workload, which is still a massive issue in our profession. So if you didn't manage to watch episode 1, I've put a link in the description. Please do go and check it out and then share it, comment and let me know what you think. A massive thank you to everyone who did watch episode 1 and shared it, and it's been really encouraging to get feedback from teachers who, off the back of watching the video, have started to think about how they're doing things moving forward and having discussions about maybe changing the way in which they do things to reduce time spent on these sort of tasks and get a better work-life balance, which is exactly the point to making these sort of videos. So episode 1 talked all about book scrutinies, which is going to have a link to this episode. Episode 2 is going to focus on something which I think is the biggest contributor to workload in education, and that is fear. I do think that fear drives far too much in education. Fear of what's going to happen if you don't get the results in end of year tests, and the knock-on effect that can have. You know, if you do take a dip with your results, it's like knock knock, Ofsted's at your door, and still we do have that fear over Ofsted. What this video is not going to be is me slagging off Ofsted for 10 minutes, although I'm sure plenty of you would love me to do that. No, don't get me wrong, for a number of years the way Ofsted did things certainly instilled a lot of fear, worry and stress within schools all across England. And that stress is still there. You know, it is still there, because at one time, you know, we were doing a lot of things thinking Ofsted wanted to see it done a certain way. We used to do a lot of things for Ofsted a few years back, but that's still happening today. And I can understand why that's happening, because when it comes to these inspections, jobs are still on the line. I've read plenty of stories of where head teachers have had to leave or been sacked due to the result of a certain Ofsted inspection, you know, which is wrong. They turn out to be like football managers, head teachers now, you know, one bad set of results and they're out the door. And that shouldn't be the case. And we still have that fear. You know, I've never come across a school who've said to me, oh, we had Ofsted in the other day. I tell you what, who? Great couple of days. Stress? What stress? You know, it still tends to be a stressful couple of days or however long it might be with your school. And you know, I get it on courses now. I get it on courses where teachers will get a phone call halfway through the day. They go out, take the phone call. They come back, a shivering wreck, like they've just seen a ghost, colour drained from the face, going, I'm really sorry, I'm going to need to leave. And I'll say, why, what's the matter? We've just had the call. And every other teacher in the room goes, no, you're joking. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh, best of luck, best of luck, best of luck. Even though we've still got that fear, which really, really needs to change, it's still there. And I can sympathise with schools and understand why. But what you've got to realise now is Ofsted aren't the way they were. But what has been encouraging from Ofsted is they've really, really tried their best now to push a sort of message to schools in that they don't expect to see things done a certain way. And I think a lot of schools haven't let that message filter in through sort of SLT. So you're getting a lot of schools who are still doing things that they were doing years ago when Ofsted were the way they were. And even though Ofsted have published documents about dispelling myths, which have been there now for 3 years, schools still aren't taking them on board. So this is my frustration with it. So my issue here isn't going to be with Ofsted themselves. It's about schools who are not moving forward now out of fear of what they think Ofsted are going to want to see, even though Ofsted now are making it quite clear they don't expect to see things done a certain way. So what I'm trying to get schools to do here is ask the question with certain tasks, whether it's book scrutinies, whether it's marking policies, whatever it might be, who are you doing this for? Because if you're doing this for Ofsted, you're doing it wrong. And everything that you do needs to be for the children. And that includes looking after staff. The best staff, you are going to get the best out of your staff if they are well in themselves, if they have a decent work-life balance, and if they have time and trust. And I think because of that fear on schools, we've lost that trust with teachers. You know, we don't trust them. We don't trust them to do the job that we're doing. And if that fear is coming because you think Ofsted want to see things done a certain way, you think Ofsted are going to expect so many pieces of work in a book each week, so you're doing book scrutinies week in, week out, that is wrong, and that needs to stop. Don't believe me and you sat there thinking, what's this guy talking about? How does he... Don't just listen to me. Go over to Twitter, you know, get in touch with some of these inspectors and ask them. You know, people like Sean Hartford, who's doing some amazing stuff, you know, constantly answering questions, putting to bed all these myths and making it clear now what Ofsted expect, which is to see that what you're doing is the best for your pupils. And as long as you can justify that, I mean, it even states it in the school inspection handbook. I mean, have a look. So here it is, point 29 there. Inspectors must not advocate a particular method of planning, teaching or assessment. It's up to the school themselves to justify their practices and for leadership teams to justify these on their own merits rather than by reference to this inspection handbook. It's right there. Don't get me wrong, the system isn't perfect, you know, it's far from it. And the fact that Ofsted do base a lot of their judgments on outcomes in tests and things like that, despite them saying they want to come in now and see a broad and balanced curriculum. Don't know how that can work when these tests are so ridiculously hard. You can't do well on them without prepping like there's no tomorrow. That's another video. I think the whole grading system within Ofsted is dangerous, quite toxic, and again contributes to a lot of what I've been talking about. Another video. But essentially, no one gets into teaching to please an Ofsted inspector, right? You come into teaching to make a difference to your young children's lives, and you've got to be thinking about the job you're doing and the time you're spending, whatever task that is. Are you doing that because it's having a direct impact on children's learning? If you're doing it to tick boxes because you think Ofsted want to see things done a certain way, then it's got to change. You've got to have a discussion about it and start thinking, how can we work smarter, not harder? How can we get the best out of our staff so that we're getting the best out of our pupils? And then you're justifying everything that you're doing. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to justify. You might have seen in the news recently, there was a school who, when Ofsted came in and challenged them and sort of gave them a really negative inspection, they actually threatened legal action and got it changed. But I was also speaking to someone that I do quite a bit of work with, who, when their school got inspected, the sort of initial draft report reported that science wasn't being taught at all, wasn't being taught at all. And that teacher's role in the school is to teach science throughout the whole school. So he actually got in touch with Ofsted and gave them the evidence, because a lot of what he was doing, a lot of practical work, was being blogged, and of course that wasn't being seen in books. So he actually argued and sort of gave the evidence to show that the science was being covered, and that comment in the inspection report was then changed to say that it was covered. So it's about schools being aware of that and being able to, and being willing to justify that what they are doing is working. It's about justifying what they are doing and showing how it works, and arguing that and being willing to fight for it, because if we don't, then we're never going to be able to move forward. Right, so there we have it, episode 2 done. As always, I'd love to know what you think, so please do comment, let me know your thoughts. And as always, please do share this video. The more people we can get involved in these sort of discussions, the better. Watch out for episode 3, that will be coming soon. As always, I'd love to hear from you. So even if you have ideas for issues to be discussed on these videos, drop me a message on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever it might be. Thanks a lot. If you're on half term, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.